thank you for taking the time. Is it good morning, good afternoon, or good evening for you right now?
Well, good afternoon.
Okay,
Good
good
afternoon.
afternoon. Thank you for taking the time. Usually, when I'm doing an interview with a lead actor like yourself, I say, how much of there is you in the character? But this character doesn't remember very much for a lot of the movie. So I have
Yeah.
to assume you have a better memory than this character.
I mean, I'd like to think so. I mean, it fails me now and then, but yeah, I've definitely got a better memory than him.
Sure. So at the same time, though, it is kind of a crutch because for the rest of your career, you can say, "Who are you?" all the time, and they'll go, "Oh yeah, that movie, that was a great movie."
Yeah, I mean, I think all the questions that he asks are in the trailer, so like, so he's there. It definitely sells the idea that he kind of doesn't know what's going on.
Right. So wonderful cast in this film. I've interviewed half the folks before. You're helping to make it almost 100% interview ratio. But how did you wind up on this one? Was it a traditional audition, or did you know Martin? Or
No, I'd submitted a tape, and then I went down to London to meet with the exec producer. Managed to sell myself enough to to get the part. It was funny because as I was leaving the meeting, I said to him, he was like, "Well, if we don't work with you on this," he said, "I'm sure we'll see each other on the in the future." And I said to him, I was like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I think I just shook his hand and I left, and I'd forgot about it. And then I got the message through to say I got the part, and I was like, that's pretty awesome. I was excited because it's a part that I was looking forward to if I got it into playing.
sure, where was it filmed? You can't just tell that as the viewer.
I don't know. I don't want to give the movie magic away because it feels like America, right? It's it's actually a studio in Bulgaria called
Oh,
Nobrana. Yeah.
that you know what? That's an area I'm hearing about regularly in interviews that it's Bulgaria for any time it's a New York or London downtown dark futuristic kind of city. Had you been to Bulgaria before this film?
No, that was the first time I've been to Bulgaria. And when you arrive at the studio, I remember they took me through a lot, and then I got to see the set, and they have like a couple of really huge sets, which is set up like almost like generic New York style streets. And it was awesome the first time that I saw it. And it was an incredible experience to be able to film on that set as well.
Was there a lot of getting used to being out there, or are these folks so ahead of their time that there's no jet lag, there's no easing up to a new cuisine, etc.?
Oh no, I mean they have in-house crews, and these guys are like consummate professionals. They're like some of the best crews that I've ever worked with, one of the best stunt teams that I've ever worked with. They know what they're doing, and that's why there's more and more that you will be hearing about them because there's a lot of productions that go in there because they are so professional.
Well, was there a lot of prep needed for this particular role for you?
There was I was given as much prep as could possibly be given, but I really only had 4 days to rehearse to both learn and rehearse all of the fight sequences. I found out on the Friday that I'd been given the job, and on the Monday I was flying out, and we were straight into rehearsals for the fight sequences. So it was quick. It's lucky that I've got and it's one of the reasons why I might have landed the job. I have an extensive background in martial arts my whole life, so it was kind of like a duck to water, so or fish to water. So
Well, credit to you, unless you're done with compliments for the day, but to go from acting to I'm sorry, I messed that entirely up and I leave in all the mistakes. To go for the modeling to the acting of the more soap opera kind of variety to the thriller oriented acting, all along you had the martial arts training. So I think you're a very versatile person that people don't realize that's the case with. Does that mean that you're also a singer and a dancer and that's to be determined later?
well, funnily enough, I've just done another film where I had a song where I had to play the piano and sing a song. So people will see that at some point. Yeah.
Did you have to learn piano for that?
No, I mean I've kind of I've played guitar and instruments my whole life as well. So it was nice that I could just kind of ease into that. I had some inclination towards the piano, but it was specific for that role that I got to play that song.
How do you have all these party trick skills in in your inventory? Were you as a kid trying to learn all these things?
Oh no, dude. I just I get obsessed with things. So when I was a kid, it was music and guitar, and then
Oh,
like, yeah, I used to play in like heavy rock bands when I was a kid growing up, and then I got into martial arts and got obsessed with that, and then that was like my entire focus. And then I got into acting, and then it was like everything just kind of seemed to culminate in this. The Man with No Past seems to be one of those roles where everything I'd learned over a lifetime culminated in a single role, which is handy for me.
when you say heavy guitar or rock, what's your definition of that? Because some people will say that Journey is heavy, and then other people will go, no, Cannibal Corpse is heavy.
Yeah, I was somewhere in the middle of those two. Yeah, I used to play. I mean, anything from like Guns N' Roses and Metallica, Pantera, that like late '80s, early '90s stuff, all the way up to like early 2000s, Lamb of God, that kind of stuff. That's
Wow, you on rhythm or lead guitar?
lead guitar, lead man, of course.
Well, okay, so you just keep getting more and more, unfortunately, overly talented with all this. So is music entirely on the back burner for you, aside from playing piano in that new film that's coming out?
Yeah, I don't really play anymore. Maybe one day I'd like to get into playing music, but my focus now is primarily on, the career acting, and martial arts is still a big thing for me. So I still compete actively in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So
Wow. Okay. And are you still based in England these days? Because it sounds like to be a BJJ person, that's usually South America or Los Angeles or Asia. And then you're filming in Bulgaria on this latest film. It sounds like you're all over the place all the time.
yeah, I mean that's one of the wonderful things about this career is that it takes you all over the place. I'm in the process of trying to get my green card for the States. So I'm hoping that I'll be over there. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is something that has exploded worldwide now. I think the Joe Rogan podcast, the fact he talks about it, there's a lot of big celebrities that do jiu-jitsu now, and it's just kind of spread like wildfire everywhere. So I've been doing it about 8, 9 years now, and I love it, man.
Are there any hobbies for you that don't involve you getting all in and using your full brain power?
No, I'm an all-in kind of guy, like I don't do anything by halves. Even, if it doesn't work out for me, I'll still give 110% to anything that I kind of do. And I think that's because I don't really do anything that I don't enjoy. If I don't enjoy something, I'll just kind of put it to the side and drop it. It's not for me. But if I enjoy it, it gets my whole heart and soul. So
Gotcha. Well, two quick questions about Man with No Past, two quick questions about you, and then you're free for me. You ready?
fire.
Okay, Man with No Past. I didn't ask this. I asked where it was filmed. I didn't ask when it was filmed because sometimes you find out that movies are a couple of years old, even though they're new to us.
So I think it was filmed at the back end of 23. So the very end of 23 it was filmed. And then I think that they were unsure because they really enjoyed the film, the producers and everything. They weren't sure what they were going to do with it, whether it was going to be cinema release or go
Hmm.
straight to streaming platforms. That's a conversation, obviously, for the producers and the execs and the networks and stuff. So, and they landed on release on streaming. So, but I've been excitedly waiting for this to come out.
Got it. And then another question about the film. Your co-star, John Voight. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him a few times, and not everyone realizes he's an encyclopedia for history and pop culture and remembers everything about all of his films. Did you get to pump him for stories at all?
Oh, John had a million stories for us. I was like a little kid. I'd sit there and just kind of like look up at him, like because he's a kind of an icon in the industry, and I'd just sit there and try and absorb as much information and lessons that I could. And he told some pretty cool stories. Some I could probably share, and some will probably keep private.
Yeah. And, not many people get to be the subject of Seinfeld episodes and in Adam Sandler movies, etc. So the pop culture is great. Now, back to you right here. We talked about music. What's the last concert that you went to as a fan?
A couple of weeks ago, I went to see a band called Sleep Token in the UK.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah, of course. Big band.
Yeah, dude, I discovered them. I kind of got put onto them in lockdown in the 2020 2021, and I became obsessed. I think they're incredible. But yeah, that was the last band, and they were amazing to see live.
And the last question for you, there's a lot of notable Woodwards in the world. There's Lucy Woodward, the singer. There's Bob Woodward, the journalist. Are any of them in your family tree?
I, I don't know, dude. I don't think so. You know, funny actually. I always hated my last name. I always because whenever you told someone your last name, and they'd be like Woodward, you used to be like, no, Woodward. And it happened so many times. So I was always not a fan of my last name, but you know, I've grown into it. I like it now.
But luckily, you've got a first name that they don't mess up at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Correct?
You know, I do get a lot of fake or like pocket calls because I'm usually first in a lot of people's phone books, which is a pain. But yeah, most people don't mess it up.
Well, Adam, thank you for your time. Congrats on Man with No Past, and really looking forward to whatever's coming next, whether you're fighting people, you're crooning, whatever it is, looking forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you for the interview, man.
Paltrocast.